Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe P Zapia, and today it's all about the WBC. That's right, baseball, the world game. We're going to play a little action on it today, and of course, some really good athletes taking part in this year's WBC. We haven't had it in a while because, well, COVID ruined a lot of things, but the WBC is back, and that means we can make some money on it. And to help me break it all down is my podcast partner on Fantasy Pros from the MLB podcast, and from leading off, the one, the only, the Welsh. Follow him on the Twitter machine at @IsItTheWelsh. And Welsh, I'm kind of excited for the WBC. I'm not going to lie. I'm one of the nerds that likes the WBC. It's a good time every single year. The last one we had was an incredible final game. It was really exciting. So this is a great opportunity to get a look at some of these international talents. Sometimes we see them in Major League Baseball in a year or two away, but also a great opportunity for some of these countries to get some exposure from the game of baseball that we love so much.
You know, what's also really interesting too is it looks like you have a bigger collection of players playing in spots outside of the U.S. Manny Machado, who played for Team USA, is now playing for the Dominican Republic, which is interesting. Tommy Edman, I believe, was the very first U.S. player to play for Team Japan, which is a new wrinkle. Lars Nootbaar is there. I was actually over at Diamondbacks the other day, and there was a family there that started talking to Alec Thomas, and they're talking in Spanish, and he was like, "I'm really sorry. I actually don't speak Spanish." And then when he was done talking, he walked over, and I was like, "Alec," I'm like, "you're playing for Team Mexico." I'm like, "How is that?" And he started laughing. He's like, I know. He's like, "I don't speak it." So what I'm getting at is it's like there's a new interesting wrinkle kind of across the board of not only seeing all this incredible talent, but we're also seeing like this stretch out of players playing for different countries that we might not have seen before. And the player pool is really interesting. And there's a lot of fun betting opportunities, which I'm probably going to get in on. And I've got games in the WBC that are going to be right down the street, Joe, that I kind of want to go see. Go see. Team Mexico, Team USA is here, and a couple others. I don't remember which ones.
All right, so we're going to give you a little overview before we get going. Don't forget to subscribe to Betting Pros YouTube channel, and if you're watching on the YouTube, which you should be, click that little bell to let go ding for notifications, but drop a comment below because somebody's going to win a free upgrade to Betting Pros Premium, which is amazing. Ooh. So download the app if you haven't already. Get the Betting Pros on your phone so you know what's going on. But Betting Pros Premium has exclusive picks, top-rated player props, and custom analysis for your betting performance, which is amazing. You can track all of your bets right there so you know what's going well, what's not. It'll give you suggestions of what you could do better, which we could all use at times. So you can cash more bets over at Betting Pros, plain and simple. Or you could just upgrade today right now at bettingpros.com/upgrade. But don't forget, you might be able to get it for free. So throw a comment in the chat. And if you don't win, then go to bettingpros.com/upgrade. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about all the sports books in the U.S. betting favorites for the 2023 WBC. They all like the U.S. team to defend, which makes a lot of sense. This U.S. team is very good, Welsh. They're kind of loaded. You look at the American team with Pete Alonso, Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Mookie Betts, Turner, Real Muto. I mean, it is stacked right there. You got Kershaw, Wainwright, Nestor Cortez, actually, which is funny because he's from Cuba. He's going to be pitching for the United States. This is a really good U.S. team. And looking back, I think it's even better, you could argue, than the last time around they had. So what are your thoughts on the U.S. being the favorite? As you can see on the market right now, pretty much you're getting a 2-1. You're getting plus 210 over a FanDuel. Some other sites are right around there, plus 230. So, 260 in one spot on FanDuel right now, actually. Yeah. So what are your thoughts here on the USA being pretty much the favorite in most of the betting houses?
Yeah, I was about to say, I saw the 261, which seems like a really good marker. Yeah, I think they did well. Not to jump the gun, but like obviously injuries in spring training and stuff happens where teams start to lose some players. We're going to talk about the Dominican Republic lost a massive superstar to their roster. And there's actually a little bit twinging around with a guy like Juan Soto, who Juan Soto has not reported yet because the Padres wanted to see how he felt. So USA didn't really experience a ton of it outside of Clayton Kershaw. That was like kind of a big one, losing Clayton Kershaw to the team. But overall, the depth is crazy. Bobby Witt, I was actually at the Royals today as we're recording this. Bobby Witt is actually playing in a game before he reports, and he's not set to be a starter on that team. He's set to be a reserve player for Team USA. So the depth is crazy. It's pretty good starting pitching. It's a solid bullpen. I mean, 1-for-1, if you want to talk about talent on rosters, the USA and Dominican Republic team, they just stand out on the pure talent. It's just a matter of like, how much are they going to work together? And, sometimes you have players that define different roles And then when you just get these like all-star super teams, everyone's swinging for the fences, and you got to have people that are going to give and take. But this USA team seems like a no-brainer odds-on favorite, especially defensively, and the star power they were able to bring in and hold. And obviously lost Bryce Harper as well very early on. But yeah, I don't, especially if you're getting like 260 to plus 260, 2.5 to 1, seems like a phenomenal bet.
Now, the Dominican team also, that ranges from the plus 210, plus 230 range, depending on where you're going. And as you could say, you're 100% correct. People are pulling out of this thing. So although they have some big superstars here, potentially Juan Soto, Devers, Jose Ramirez, Julio Rodriguez, you mentioned Manny Machado, Sandy Alcantara, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier. It's a pretty good group there. Who is potentially pulling out that really could impact this Dominican squad?
It was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladimir Guerrero has officially pulled out. So that's a pretty big blow offensively, if you think about it, maybe not defensively. The thing that stands out of the Dominican Republic team, which like they're one of those teams you look at and you're like, man, they're so loaded. It seemed almost like a sucker's bet. Their pitching is better than I remember it. Like Sandy Alcantara kind of being at the top of that. Their pitching, and that's something I'm really focused on looking at these lower end teams. You can make those big bets of, it'd be like Cuba or Japan or something like that. But I really feel like you've got to have good pitching that's going to take you there. And that is one thing that I think that this group has, is a better pitching crew than before. But they are, some talent has dropped out. And you obviously losing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a pretty big blow. But one interesting thing to watch is that Nelson Cruz is like a GM player for that team. And I think he was able to recruit Manny Machado to come over. And they've also got Juan Soto if he's going to be healthy. So there is a lot of like camaraderie there and some teammates that are playing. But these are two like powerhouse teams. And what sets the Dominican Republic apart, in my mind at least, is that that pitching staff. That pitching staff is going to be able to hold them in and probably take some games maybe they even shouldn't.
Now, the Japanese rotation has Shohei Ohtani. It's got Yu Darvish. They've had some injuries as well. Yoshida actually is going to play as well. Now, he's that new guy coming overseas for the Boston Red Sox and be playing in that outfield. So when you're looking at the Japanese team, the one thing that they always have, it's a huge, I would think advantage in this is the fact this team is used to playing together internationally in some of these tournaments. And, they're at a different point in their training necessarily where everybody's still ramping up sort of on the American side of things.
And this is why I think Japan's sneaky in this. And a lot of people actually have them as like that team that is going to break some hearts, is because of the pitching staff. And actually what you said, that's really astute. It's like you have a lot of guys more than anything else that have worked together. And unlike, let's say, the Canadian team or like a Great Britain team or, whoever you wanted to pick, like Australia, they had that going years past. You would have a lot of guys that played against each other, but the talent in Japan is a lot different professionally, because all the Dominican talent comes over to the major leagues and it's hard for them to pull a lot over. Japan specifically is interesting because of all those players. Then on top of it, you got maybe the best player in the world in Shohei Ohtani. Yu Darvish actually skipped coming to the U.S. and the Padres allowed him to do it to stay in Japan so he could train and work with that team. So he's been there doing his spring training almost that entire time. And I think that rotation is going to take them really, really far. Offensively, I don't know, but it definitely seems it's a lot of grinding guys. They lost Seiya Suzuki because of the injury. He's not going to play in it, which hurts a little bit. But I think they're definitely one of those teams. If you didn't want to go with one of the big powerhouses, they stand out. And Shohei Ohtani, and I think what was a scrimmage game on Monday, hit 2 homers already, or maybe it was Sunday. He already launched 2 homers in one game, so he looks like he is in ripe shape.
Yeah, the offense could be a little bit of a trouble there with Japan, but certainly the pitching's there.
Yeah.
And we shall see what they go. They're the third team on the board, somewhere around that plus 280 you're getting on them. So those are the 3 favorites. Then you've got some other squads in there. Venezuela, Korea, they're both at plus 1,300 over on FanDuel. Mexico is at plus 18. So you're looking at some of these other teams. Puerto Rico certainly is going to have some talent on that roster. You got Javier Baez, Francisco Lindor, Eddie Rosario, Jose Barrios, Marcus Stroman are we pitching for them. You've also got Edwin Diaz in Puerto Rico's bullpen. So if you get to the 9th inning, they could be a very dangerous squad. And the Dominican Republic, we already know how good they are. We've talked about them. So, some of these Latin countries, obviously very big sleepers. One of them, too, is Cuba, who is, typically when you're talking about international baseball, one of those hubs, right? But it feels like they've lost a fair amount of talent over the last few years and maybe not quite the same juggernaut in the international pool as they used to be. What are your thoughts on Cuba this year heading into the 2023 WBC?
Yeah, I don't know about their pitching staff overall, how it's going to hold up. Right now, it looks like Luis Robert, Yoan Moncada teammates are going to be there. I'm just kind of looking as well. Andy Ibanez, who used to be a Ranger with the Tigers, is over there. They got Ronald Polanos. But this is one of those that, like, I think there's some star offensive power. Yoenis Cespedes, I believe, is playing for the team. But I just don't know if they've got the pitching. And that's what I think is going to take a lot of teams elsewhere. I mean, because you look at Team USA, even if you didn't love, they've got solid pitching. They've got Gold Glove defense. I mean, Arenado and Goldschmidt on the corners. I mean, that is a great, great defensive team. I just don't know how a couple big bats in Cuba are going to work. That's not a team that I love, and it actually is going to lead to a conversation later when we talk about the specific pools about a bet that I like against Cuba.
Yeah, we've got Mexico also in this discussion too. They've got Julio Urias, Jose Urquidy, Taiwan Walker, though there's starting pitchers there. Kirk Verdugo, Rowdy Tellez,
I like that team.
Luis Urias. They've got some major league talent on there. The depth is a little questionable. Venezuela, a little bit of an older team, I think you could say too. Miguel Cabrera, Jose Altuve, Avisail Garcia, Sal Perez. Those are some of the names that are very familiar to MLB audiences out there. Gleyber Torres and Andres Jimenez, though, up the middle. That could be a kind of a sleeper situation there for Venezuela. The pitching on that front for them, Pablo Lopez, Martin Perez, Herman Marquez. So again, it's that weird combination of, do you have enough relievers, starting pitchers, and offense to get the job done in this short window? And that's what we're going to be talking about. There's one other team too that seems to be the trendy, don't look now, but this could be a team that ends up going further in the tournament than people realize, and it's the Netherlands. Like Cuba, they're part of that Pool A, and I know you and I have talked about that. So let's kick things off here with Pool A. Because right now, Cuba is at plus 115. They are the favorites to come out of that pool. The Netherlands are at plus 250, but the Netherlands have some talent on there, like Xander Bogaerts, Jonathan Scope. You also got Jurickson Profar, Didi Gregorius, all those guys on this squad here. So do you think that the Netherlands have a shot here? Because you're getting more than 2-1 on them. Cuba, the prohibitive favorite, at plus 115. Do you think the Netherlands, though, is the better wager?
Yeah, I was telling you this beforehand. Like when I was going through, like, this is the bet. Did you want to get cute about all of them? I don't really know if you do. This would be the one I would want to get cute about. Because I kind of like that team. I think Andrelton Simmons is also on there. It's a really good defense. Didi Gregorius. The Netherlands have actually they were training in Salt River Fields. And Didi, Profar, and Andrelton Simmons have been together, and they've been training this entire time. Now add Xander Bogaerts on there, add Jonathan Scope. I don't think the pitching is there, but I think they've got a really, really solid defensive team. And I feel like this is a team that could sneak in. They could sneak some stuff, because I just don't know. And, I'll shut up as soon as Cuba comes and puts up 12 runs on them. But I feel like this is a team that can keep going, keep in it, and might even have a little bit more star power. A lot of manufacturing runs, play really good defense, move runners along. Like, I feel like this is like remember that old Kansas City Royals team? Like, was it 15 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, won the World Series, and it was just it wasn't like a great team, but it was just a good collection of players that worked well together.
That's Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain. They ran the bases. They made contact. They didn't hit a ton of home runs. They pitched good enough, and they just kind of went station to station on you. And
that's kind of I feel like they could be. That's how I think this Netherlands team could be.
Well, look, if you're looking at it too from a betting perspective, and you're checking out these numbers, you'll see the Netherlands and Cuba are right there at the same. They're basically plus 4,200. Then the Netherlands is plus 7,500 to win it all, quote unquote. But they're the closest odds in that same range. So it's telling you that Cuba and the Netherlands are pretty close. Yeah,
I was about to say they're the only one out of these pools, because this bet is to get out of this pool for the win. This is the only one where both are plus money. Everyone else, there is a long prohibited favorite, like a big minus favorite in every other pool here. This is the only one that's not. So it does show you, just like you said, it's a little bit closer, and you got better odds. And I would play Netherlands. I'm going to play Netherlands on this one personally.
And there typically tends to be an upset somewhere in there. So in Pool A, we like the Netherlands upset at plus 250. After that, Japan is the prohibitive favorite at minus 550 over Korea. Korea is at plus 410. This would be a pretty big upset, in my opinion. It's a lot of juice to lay. So you can lay 550 to win 100 is a lot. I would probably stay away from that. Not the best bet. In Pool C, you've got USA minus 360 prohibitive favorites over Mexico at plus 360. Again, I don't see USA not winning this pool and getting there. Then you have an interesting one, because you have the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Puerto Rico in Pool D. And we've talked about all these rosters. All three of these rosters have major league talent on it. It's hard not to side with the Dominican team, because they are incredibly prideful for this event, on top of which they are absolutely loaded roster-wise. They're minus 250. If there's one pick remaining in pool play, Welsh for me, where I would lay the juice at the minus, it's Dominican Republic, because it's a competitive enough grouping there with Venezuela, with Puerto Rico. Venezuela plus 380, Puerto Rico at plus 550, that you don't have to lay too much. But I still think Dominican is the prohibitive favorite in this pool. But what are your thoughts? Do you think they're in danger at all from threatenings from, let's say, Puerto Rico or Venezuela?
Venezuela is the one that kind of stands out to me. Like you said, just weird stuff happens in these games. Anything can happen in it. Venezuela is a little bit of an older team, just like just a little bit more crusty. Miguel Altuve. I like Andres Jimenez in there. Gleyber Torres, Aviso Garcia, and you got Salvi there. I think there's a really huge, big power from really 2 to 4. Because what would they bat? They'd probably bat Salvi maybe 3, Altuve 2, and then maybe Jimenez leading off. That top 4 or 5, I think, is really, really good. So Venezuela would be a bet. I'm with you on DR. I have a hard time betting against them, but I actually kind of like the Venezuela bet in here, and this might be one that I dabble with as well.
All right, so let's go back to the big board. So currently still most houses are going to have Dominican Republic, USA kind of neck and neck there in that plus 210 to plus 260 range. I'm going to go with USA, Welsh. If I'm betting a favorite, that's the one I'm going with. I think that, again, the advantage a bit no travel. You're already in the United States. That's certainly easier for them as opposed to teams like Japan who have to travel to different spots there. If you're looking at the rest of this pool in terms of who could be the darling Cinderella team, the Netherlands at plus 7,500. If you want to throw to win it all, a small wager on that, I can't say it's, why not throw $10 on that and see what happens? But it does kind of feel like USA, Japan, Dominican are the 3 favorites for a reason. And out of those 3, I am going to stick with the good old US and A. I like this roster. I like the talent they had. You mentioned the depth too, where Bobby Witt's not even the starter. That's an incredible roster they've constructed, and I think that they're going to go ahead and take this down. But what are your thoughts here? How are you spreading the units around in the WBC for the big board?
USA. I'm not going to bet against America. Who do you think I am? What do you think I am, John?
What are you
talking about?
Classic is
I'm
good.
going to bet America. It's America. Oh, yeah. That's where I'm going. Of course, especially if you've got 3 teams that are all roughly around the same odds. Like I said, I like the DR team. They did just lose Vlad. I like the Japanese team, and I think they're super sneaky, but I'm not going to bet against America. America is the bet here, and you're getting maybe 2.5 to 1. If I wanted to play sneaky, Venezuela and Mexico both stand out to me. You were talking about, what was the pool? It was I'm not betting against USA or anything, but that Mexico team just also seems a little bit dangerous. But probably Venezuela. If I could only pick one outside of the big 3, I think I would go plus 1,300 on Venezuela. So if I wanted to put, you said $10 and $20 or something on Venezuela, and then I drop a hammer on USA because I am I'm a USA bald eagle, America loving son of a gun. I am going to put my money on America.
Welsh and I are going to be wearing American flag bandanas, driving the pickup truck to the WBC, go pick up some money.
Coming out to Hulk Hogan's music. Dun, dun, dun.
But look, man, when you've got a roster that's got Alonzo Goldschmidt, Arenado Betts, Turner, Real Muto, that is a really good roster. I'm slightly concerned with that. That's all I'm saying. The offense is great, better than last time offense. But I think last time the pitching was in a better spot. So the only qualm about this is you're relying on guys like Kershaw and Wainwright. And I know they're the veterans. They'll know what to do.
Kershaw's not there anymore. So
Kershaw is not. That's right. Kershaw's not going to be part of it anymore already. So what does that leave us now in the pitching department for the United States? That gets you a little thinner. So it really then becomes that question of, can the offense win out? And that's a distinct question. And if that's the case, then you should be looking at Darvish and Ohtani on that Japanese side, because those guys are going to take the ball. They're going to be ready. They're definitely going to be a dangerous team. But look, it's that American offense is just so good right now, Welsh. It's really hard to pass up.
Yeah, they can run. They got Turner at the top. They play fantastic defense. They've got great depth. There's a bit of a bullpen. Like you said, the pitching staff's a little bit in question. I believe Nick Martinez was a replacement for Clayton Kershaw. They got Nestor, Wainwright, we'll see.
Lance Lynn's still around there too.
Lance Lynn is the main starter, you're right. But I feel like you can pick on certain things, and I've been talking about, I think, the great pitching staffs are the thing I'm looking for, but the USA team fits all the other pegs. You know, it's great defense, it's good offense, they can run.
And relief pitching too. So if you are going to separate these innings out, you've got Devin Williams, right? You've also Brady Singer, another starter too, but you've got Ryan Presley, you've got Ottavino, you've got a lot of these relievers you can throw out there for an inning, and David Bednar, right? These guys can come in and throw hard for an inning or so, and I think there's a huge advantage too.
And you have the best catcher in baseball in JT Realmuto, who is like managing all these guys. So again, you know, we talked about
Will
all those
Smith
other
is the second catcher. So
yeah, it's not too bad.
shabby.
That's why it's like, I think at 2.5, even 2-1, USA is a great bet. This isn't like the World Cup where we're all trying to be patriotic and we're like, oh, we're gonna bet USA and let's go.
We're trying to make money. This is about money, folks. This is like that. What's more American than that?
The US dollar's looking pretty good in WBC betting is all I'm trying to say.
There you have it. So we want to know what your picks are. Make sure you drop them in the comments below here on bettingpros.com, and of course our YouTube channel, Betting Pros. Subscribe. Don't forget to also click that little bell till it goes ding. So, you know, every time a piece of information, a new show drops here on our channel. We've got March Madness right around the corner. On Sunday night, we're going to be recording that show. Very exciting times as the brackets are going to come out. We've got so many amazing things going on, not just for March Madness, for MLB as well. So if you're going to be betting baseball this year, you're going to want to pay attention because I've got a whole bunch of video stuff coming out there. It's going to be very exciting times here on our video channel at Betting Pros, not to mention Fantasy Pros. We can check out the Welsh and myself talking baseball pretty much every day, all season long. So go check that out as well on Fantasy Pros. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. Enjoy the WBC. We'll see you next time, kids.
America!
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.